Welcome back, everybody, to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast. We're your Omniverse Comics Guide guys. I'm Eric. That's my pal, Dave. How
Hi.
you doing, pal?
I'm perfectly fine, thank you. I'd go so far as to say smooth. Yeah.
You got to play that during the commercial break. That was great.
What?
I did not expect you to pull out your sax and blow in it.
Pull my sax. There's a pun in there somewhere.
Dave,
I'm going to have to. Huh?
Can you pull the mic a little bit closer to your face?
Is that better? Is that better?
Yeah, but then we can't see your beautiful. That's better. Yeah, there we go. We see your pretty face. The mic is just there. There you go.
Thank you. I think I moved away for some boomage.
Nice.
Nothing.
For everybody that's been hanging out with us on Twitch, thank you for joining us live. For those that are watching on YouTube, please rate and subscribe to the show. Give us a thumbs up. Share it if you will. And also on your different podcast platforms, whether it's Apple Music, Spotify, whatever it is. Thank you for tuning in. Give us a rate and subscribe as well. But don't forget, OmniverseComics.guide. That is your #1 spot for reading orders, podcasts, creator interviews, all kinds of stuff comic book related. If you are a reader of comics or want to know how not to get lost in your reading order, we're the place. OmniverseComics.guide. It's your favorite episode of the month. It's that time of the month again, Dave.
I love it.
Incoming for November. So I'm going to talk about a omnibus that we recently spoke about. It's being reprinted, re-released. It's Superman, Exile, and Other Stories Omnibus. I think some people missed their chance to get it the first time around. This is directly after John Byrne gets off of the book. Whatever situation he's left Superman in, which was a pretty tricky one as far as the direction you're going to go next with this character who's in a crisis of conscience.
You're right.
And John Byrne left Superman in a place where it was kind of controversial even. Like, how do you get yourself out of this sort of writing boundary, perhaps? But you get Roger Stern comes onto the book with Jerry Ordway. This is when Dan Jurgens gets into the book. So this is pretty early into that post-crisis Superman. And I love this stuff. This is where we go to War World. Superman eventually ends up on War World in this story. Like, there's just so much track laid during this time of that era of Superman that if you just want a nice, comfy era of good old-fashioned Superman, this will hit the spot. And I've finally finished the Triangle era stuff, that first omnibus. I got a chance to finish it.
Yeah.
And this was the other chunk that I've read as much as I could after Byrne, right? There's clearly a gap that I've read pieces of, but it's so cool to see how even things from a few years before, the tracks laid, they pay off. Like, they haven't abandoned them. There's so much story that was told during this time.
Well, The Exile introduces some big concept stuff as well, like Fortress of Solitude, and not to spoil it anyway, but like War World is obviously a big thing and influenced the more recent War World story. You can see that how they,
for sure,
how that kind of sowed the seeds for that. I think, if I remember rightly, doesn't Mr. Miggs? How do I say it again? Mixius Pitalik. Doesn't he come back to Earth in a time when Superman isn't there, and then Lex Luthor has to deal with him?
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's such a base concept. Do you know what though? I think on average I rated a lot of the stories like a kind of a nice steady 3 out of 5, but in no bad way. Like I had the most fun. I think as an overall experience, The Exile and other stories made me so happy that even though it might not be the most groundbreaking thing as well, but when it is groundbreaking, it's good. Like, it's really good stuff, and there's some big moments. But it just makes me so happy. It's that kind of Thor by Simonson level of happiness. It feels good reading it. It's just so upbeat. It's just positive, classic superhero comics. You just can't go wrong.
No, some people don't care for the Superman post-crisis. That's my preference.
Really?
That's my pocket of time. Like John Byrne into the Triangle era, Death, and that's my sweet spot. And I love the way they built his universe. It was very Marvel-like. I realize that now. You had a lot of these creators who, like John Byrne and Roger Stern and Jerry Ordway, people who had understood and learned comics in that Marvel method. They knew how to build the world around Peter Parker and the Fantastic Four, right? Like they knew the soap opera aspect of it. And I think that was something somewhat missing in certain characters before, where this felt consequential. And as much as it was different, it's like they didn't overpower Superman. He learned about his history gradually. What he was more connected to was his human family and his Clark Kent identity, which is like, that's kind of cool that being Clark Kent is more important to him than being idolized or being, you know, like his power. It's just like, I do it because my parents raised me right. Now I'm going to go home and visit my mom. Like, I love that aspect of the character.
It's really sweet.
And yeah, it's throughout the story, because they go to Smallville. They check in on those characters. They check in on Perry White or Jose Delgado, who's the gangbuster. Like, they're coming up with these new characters in Superman's universe that have an effect on Metropolis the way certain characters have an effect on Gotham. Like, I appreciated all of those little things.
Yeah.
So this stuff really has a lot of fun, consequential Superman stories in it. And if you're a Superman fan, I highly recommend it.
If you're not, highly recommend it. If you're one of those people that complains about comics not being as good as they were, but you've never read much DC, this is just such an upbeat, fun experience. Pick it up.
That's the right way.
There's some nice stuff in the comments as well. Omega Bread was just saying it's such a great omnibus. It's not just a nostalgia fest. It's Superman being his best Boy Scout self, effortlessly charming, and you can't help but root for the guy. And that was the thing that I always thought that was boring about Superman, but it isn't. You read these stories, and it's just so uplifting.
All right. Okay. Go ahead, Dave. Take it away.
Okay. My first choice tonight is Anzuelo hardcover, which is by Emma Rios. Now, she's releasing this new book called Anzuelo, 304 pages, hardcover. I don't know if it's oversized hardcover or regular size hardcover. It's from Image Comics, and it is a stunner. Like, the art on it is incredible, and that's literally the thing that sold me. I don't even know what the story's about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an Eric Anthony, and I'm going to read out the bit. So,
do an Eric Anthony.
I'm going to do an Eric Anthony. Should I do it in the voice? No, because it's going to hurt my throat. The sea, secretly more complex than anyone imagined, rises one day. The horizon folds as the sea absorbs the world and transforms everything that's been pulled inside it. 3 kids find themselves unmoored and lost, but brought together by the physical and mental changes wrought by the tides and a desire to avoid harming any living creature. Anzuelo is the new graphic novel by the Eisner Award-winning cartoonist Emma Rios from Pretty Deadly and Mirror ID. I don't know what Mirror ID is, but I haven't read Pretty Deadly either yet, but I do intend to. It's just beautiful. I almost don't care what it's about. That's why I didn't even read it. I just looked at the preview pages and went, oh my God, I need this thing. This is pretty. So yeah, this is this doesn't even look like the stuff you would have seen on Captain Marvel or any of the other mainstream books she's been providing the art for. There's something special going on here, and I want in. But that's all I've got on it. I don't know a huge amount about it apart from that, but I like that it's 304 pages and you're getting a nice hardcover chunker, or half chunker. I mean, that's like deluxe edition level. I just don't know if it's a big one or a little one, but it's pretty, and I'll take it. Thank you.
All right. I forget which month it was. I had mentioned in an incoming episode, something epic. I don't know if Simon Seisman. I don't know how to say his name. Pardon me.
I think that's Simon Kudransky.
I gotta say, that first volume, it's a book about imagination, the power of imagination, and how certain people are able to see what's happening in the world of imagination and harness the power of it. I don't want to give anything else away. It's a really, really cool story. The artwork is phenomenal. So just imagine that, no pun intended, but in the sense of the storytelling, the character that we're following has the ability to see a fight that is taking place between two what we would consider fictional characters, but they exist in the world of imagination as something that if you know how to tap into that world, you can see that, oh, that's why the tree branch fell on top of that car. We didn't see the actual fight that was happening, but in the imagination realm, there was a reason that weird thing occurred. That's just kind of a brief way to describe it. But Volume 2 is coming out. The first one, I think, was 7 solid issues. This one is also 224 pages. They're pretty sizable, these stories. I highly recommend it. I can't wait to talk about it down the line in other episodes, but I was excited that Volume 2 was going to be coming out within the same year as Volume 1.
Yeah, that's fast.
I was really happy about that. So this is a storyline that I'm, I guess, keeping up with as current as the trades are coming out. So I'm really excited about this one, and I hope someone listening, watching, gives us a shot. Simon Krajansky, Something Epic, really cool stuff. Dave,
hi.
Your numero dos.
Okay, I've got a surprise for you, dude. I'm going to take it away into a place you're not expecting. Now, I hate James Bond. I know I'm English, right? But I don't like James Bond at all. I've never liked James Bond. People have made me sit through James Bond. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Eric. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I've been made to watch numerous different Bonds by people, and I don't understand the appeal at all. Not at all. However, Dynamite are producing 007 for Kings and Country, and it's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. I'm in. I want to read this, man. It's Philip Kennedy Johnson, and I just want to... there's still this part of me that thinks, like, what is wrong with you that you don't like James Bond and you're born in this country? Like, it just doesn't add up. Whenever I say it to anybody...
Do you like Mission Impossible?
No.
Okay, so you don't like the whole spy...
No, I like the spy thing, but I just don't like those spy things. And I think I've always kind of wanted to find the thing I do. Is there a spy comic I like? There is, but I don't know what it is.
I mean, S.H.I.E.L.D. is all spy stuff.
Yeah,
Captain
but
America
when you look at the old 1960s S.H.I.E.L.D. comics, I love those. Love them. But it's weird. And, like, here's a robot that looks like a chair and it's attacking. And for some reason, like, Dum Dum Dugan's been hit in the head, but luckily, under his hat, he had a metal skull cap that day. It's just weird. And it's fun weird. But I don't know. There are spy books I like, but I don't... off the top of my head, I can't think what they are. I like the kind of the web of intrigues. Don't want to mention it. There's an Ed Brubaker one that might come up when we do that episode. Hey?
Criminal?
No.
Velvet?
I
love espionage books like Ninjak.
Oh, Ninjak's brilliant.
That. Velvet, I love. Criminal. Captain America. The list goes on. Black Widow.
The Cat Brubaker stuff. Shit, we're gonna ruin the next episode.
I mean, there's so many things you can pick from Ed Brubaker just in the Captain America run, like storylines within that. So it's endless options. But I'm a James Bond fan. I prefer the Daniel Craig stuff because it feels a little bit more like it won't be dated as you watch it later. Where I feel like the stuff in the 90s, everything else I always felt was very trying to be too ahead of its time to the point where when you look back at it, you'll always be like, it looks so cheesy now. So I did prefer that there was some sort of consequential storyline in the Daniel Craig movies of 007 that carried on. Some were better than others. Not saying they were all great, but I love just the espionage genre. It's fun. It's ridiculous. Man from U.N.C.L.E. I don't know if you saw Man from U.N.C.L.E. from Guy Ritchie.
No, but I meant to because I really like Superman. Can't remember his name.
Henry Cavill.
Can't do names tonight. Henry Cavill. I really like Henry Cavill.
There's a movie, just on a Henry Cavill tangent. There's a movie on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
The Gentleman. I forgot that. You saw it?
Yeah. But what was it called?
Oh, something this Undistinguished Gentleman. I don't know.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's a perfect title, but it's hard to remember.
Is that Guy Ritchie as well?
It is Guy Ritchie, yeah.
Oh, shit beans. I just pressed something I wasn't supposed to. Hang on one sec. It wasn't porn.
Ungentlemanly Warfare. There you go.
Is it the League of Ungentlemanly Warfare or something?
Something to that effect. But yes, I love
the
all
Ministry,
of that.
the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
There you go. Yeah, I love all of those type of spy, secret, cloak and dagger stuff. It's great.
The thing, it's like with anything though. I kind of feel like the dialogue needs to be good and it needs to fit. I think with James Bond, there's an element of silliness that annoys me. But I watched I tried watching some of the Daniel Craig stuff, and I got up in the middle of it to go and have a snout because I used to smoke then. I went outside and had a snout. Forgot I was watching this film completely. Like nothing about it grabbed me at all.
I loved Casino Royale.
That was the one.
Movie.
That was the one I walked out of. I just forgot.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I could watch that one semi-regularly, like once a year.
Really?
I like that movie. Yeah.
Was that the one with the free running at the start?
Yes,
it was.
Where they're running in the construction.
Yeah.
Site.
Because that guy's really cool. There's this brilliant. We're so off tangent, but who gives a shit?
We're talking about James Bond.
Yeah, we're talking about James Bond. It's all perfectly. Yeah. There's this thing called Jump Britain, and there's another one called Jump London. I don't know which one was first, but the guy who was in the film was the guy who created parkour. Essentially, I might be wrong there. My understanding is he is arguably the guy that created parkour, and it's just what he can do is amazing. So if you like Daredevil or any of the superhero stuff, it's that, but real. It's incredible. And there's one bit where he jumps off a battleship and he runs up this gun turret and jumps off. I wanted him to dress like Cher for that bit. But he runs up this gun turret, jumps off and just lands and rolls. And you go like, no, like it's impossible. It's impossible.
While working on a construction site every day, seeing him do certain things around things I recognize, I'm just like, you crazy mother.
Yeah, but
he jumped down the elevator shaft, bounced off the wall into the next floor. Nuts.
And he can. That's the thing. It's not even faking it. Like he can do that.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Insanity. In terms of the book, so it's by Philip Kennedy Johnson. He's the writer. You'll probably know him from Superman Warworld, we've mentioned earlier. Also Action Comics and Incredible Hulk, I think he's writing at the minute. The art's by Giorgio Spalletta, I think. Apologies if that's wrong. There is a Joe Michael Linsner cover, which is kind of sexy. And the Bond on the front doesn't really look like one of the film ones. So, they're obviously just kind of doing their own thing. I should probably tell you what it's about. Accused of murder on British soil, James Bond is accused of murder on British soil. James Bond has been branded a traitor by his own government. This is a terrible impression. As M sends the entire 00 division after 007, Bond must go underground with only one ally, Gwendolyn Gann, 003, another traitor, presumed dead secretly on a clandestine mission with global implications.
Oh, that was so great. Thank you. Thank you for doing an Eric Anthony in a Sean Connery James Bond.
Wow, crossovers galore. Crossovers galore.
My number Trey. From Image Comics. I started buying a few of the trades initially when they were coming out because I liked the way it looked and the kind of premise of it all. And this is Birthright.
Oh, yes.
It's coming out in November. Is it a volume 1?
It's volume 1. I think it's 2 volumes.
Volume 1. So I waited for this one to come out in this format so I could read the whole story. If I remember correctly, it's the story of a young boy who goes missing. The family mourns him, but when he does return, not very long after, he's grown up. Mm-hmm. And he's basically a Conan the Barbarian, but he's caught in some sort of conspiracy that he's got to keep a secret and he's almost a slave to. Very intriguing premise. There's all sorts of story to fill in. What happened to the kid? What life did he live that made him become this way? Can his family trust him? 50-issue series is always a sweet spot. I feel you can tell a lot of quality story in 50 issues.
You can build a lot of story in that, yeah.
Yeah, and you can tie it up real nice if you pace it all well. And I'm looking forward to reading this whole series now in a nice deluxe format.
It's a really good shout. I've read the first trade and I really liked it. So I know there are a lot of people that don't feel that Joshua Williamson's DC stuff has been the strongest, but I read the first trade for this and absolutely loved it. It's somewhere between Flight of the Navigator and Conan. It's basically that kind of crossover.
All right. Bring out that saxophone, sir. Take us into the commercial break.
It's commercial break time.
You're great at blowing into that sax when it's not even to your face.
I know, that's mad skills. Incidentally, have you seen behind me? I've got a bat cave.
I see that.
You see that?
Yes, I've been eyeing the bat cave. I've always wanted one of those as a kid. All right, you're number 3.
Okay, this was the one that I thought would be on both of our lists tonight, and it's Absolute Mr. Miracle. It's Tom King, art by Mitch Gerards. This is a thing of freaking beauty. And it's going to be massive because it's an absolute. So it's bigger than oversized. So you'll get your slipcase and you'll get all this art and all this story in huge oversized glory. They have released the artwork, which is, I think it's a die cut cover. So you can, when you pull the book out, it's him in kind of a box. When you put it in the thing, it's him in a cage. I've got the deluxe and I want the absolute.
I have the original trade. It's the only one I got. And admittedly, I am not an absolute consumer. No. I have one absolute. I've got Hush in absolute.
Oh, I had that. Yeah. Nice.
I'm not sure why I haven't really dabbled into it too much. If a book happens to be of that cut, like trying to think of a couple that I have from Dark Horse. Lady Killer.
Oh, yeah.
That size and
same
format.
size, but no slipcase. Yeah. So that's
no
only
slipcase. Yeah, but I typically aren't drawn to the books, but this one here, this story is, I feel, my favorite Tom King story. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think it's my favorite Tom King.
It's so good.
It's Mr. Miracle is one of the new gods. He's an escape artist. He was based on Jim Steranko, wasn't it?
I think you're right.
So created by Jack Kirby. It's something special here. This is what's the biggest thing you could possibly escape from as an escape artist, and they open up with this, and it's death. So where do you go from here? What's genuinely heartwarming about this series is that it's the connection to family. You've got Mr. Miracle, you've got Big Barda. Love Big Barda. She is incredible. There's a fantasy. It's just she's so cool. It's really tall.
I second that one. I don't know why. I tell my wife all the time.
Really?
If a big woman took advantage of me one day, I don't know. I think I'd let her.
But she's got to wear the costume.
Maybe it's the Big Barda thing or Wonder Woman. I don't know.
Don't know.
But yeah, Big Barda's
also just an incredibly cool character. Between the two of them, they're a pair of really cool and interesting characters. They're so unusual.
That she's so kick-ass.
Yeah.
I love that she's so kick-ass.
Yeah. And she was a villain turned hero. So there's still that kind of moral ambiguity with her to a degree. There is something they do in this series where they take the godliness of it and they normalize it. And they show these characters in such a different light. And there may be some people out there that kind of think, yeah, well, that's a betrayal of what they were originally set up to be. It's not. Go back and look at those Kirby stories. The debut of Darkseid, he was sat in an armchair in a living room. This goes right back to that. It takes it all back to its roots, and it does something new and smart with it in a way that I wasn't expecting, and I loved every goddamn minute of this book. I think I read it in one day because I couldn't put it down. And it's 12 issues. And I don't have a huge amount of time to read 12 issues in one sitting normally. But again, you've got Mitch Gerards on the art. And Mitch Gerards, I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. Sorry, Mitch. The way that it's laid out as well, I think it's the frameless paneling, if I remember rightly. I might be wrong there.
I think so.
It just works. And some of it's not even that clever in terms of like doing anything crazy with the panels. It's just nice 9-panel pages. And it tells you who these characters are in such a way that it draws you into the humanity of characters who are, in theory, beyond you because they're gods.
Great pick. It's definitely deserving, as Omega Bread brought out, it's tailor-made for the absolute treatment.
Yes.
I've read it more than once, but I forget, because we read so much, I forget things just as quickly as I read them. But this has key moments that I remember in a comic book that I can think of. Like, if I want to read something profound in a comic book, I would give somebody this book.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. There's that conversation between him and Orion.
Uh-huh.
It's just so good. I don't even remember it all, but it's just so good.
I don't remember the finer details, but it's the feeling you get from it.
Every time. All right. We on to number 4? I'm going to go with a classic story. Another omnibus. I've read a portion of this collection. Since you brought up old school DC, it is the Green Lantern, Green Arrow,
yes,
Hard Traveling Heroes omnibus. Finally, I don't know if this has ever been collected in an omnibus format. I know they've done the Neil Adams half. I know they've collected that numerous times, and I think they've also done the Mike Grell and Denny O'Neil. Denny O'Neil's the writer throughout this. That's the through line, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
The art is fantastic during that Neil Adams era. I haven't read the Mike Grell stuff to comment on it, but I like Mike Grell as a creator. And this stuff is fun stuff. It's ahead of its time in a way. Like, if you read it now, some of the conversations that Green Arrow and Green Lantern have feel like you're on Facebook or on the internet sometimes of today's world.
Right.
But it is a story of two guys with different views on the world and their politics and ideologies based upon their backgrounds and who they work for. Like Green Lantern being part of this galactic guardianship. Like, he's got a completely different view of things. Then you've got cop. This guy. Right. Exactly. You've got this crusader and this cop, and two people with the same, they want the same outcome, but they go about it with different viewpoints. And it's just cool to see them travel first throughout the country of the United States. And I think the next half of the story, they go into space.
Yeah. And
it's a really cool concept. And the half that I read, go ahead.
No. Go for it. Go for it.
Have you read any of this stuff?
No, but I'm desperate to, because it's Bronze Age. This is Bronze Age DC, and I've got a chub for that at the minute. I love this era. I love how it looks, but I've not read this bit, and I've been trying to kind of figure out how to read it all in order, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to read it in chunks.
Yeah, and this is a sweet spot. Like, this is some really consequential stuff too for the time, where they took chances with story. They addressed certain issues, and they weren't worried about the Comics Code Authority with some of the drug stuff that they get into. Like, it's important stuff of its time. So it's really cool that they're finally collecting it. I love both of these characters individually, and then when they're together, there's a certain charm that they bring. Green Lantern and the Flash, there's an element of charm between their relationship, and then Green Arrow and Green Lantern is a whole other aspect as well. So yeah, sweet spot for Bronze Age DC. Strong stuff as well. Very worthwhile to read.
Really nice stuff. Okay, my number 4, it's Manifest Destiny Deluxe Edition Volume 2. The oversized hardcover. Now, do you know what? Manifest Destiny was my number 2 choice of books of the year in 2023. If Kaiju Max hadn't come out, that would have been my number 1. What a stupid thing to say. That's how numbers work. I fell in love with this book so hard.
I haven't read it.
It's so good. It's so good. Like, I didn't expect it to be anywhere near this good. So Volume 1 is 1 to 24 of the series. Volume 2 is 25 to 48. So it's pretty much your half series split in two. Plus they've got Skybound X #1 short story of Manifest Destiny from that for completion. It's by Chris Dingus and Matthew Roberts. It's the exploration of the American frontier in 1804, but with monsters. So as they explore these strange and unexplored lands, they find some frightening things. Some of it frighteningly weird, some of it frighteningly terrifying. It's an absolute beaut of a series. And again, I feel like I'm really hyped about a lot of these books that are coming out. And this is why I'm so excited about books coming out in November, because there's some great stuff coming out that were just like, this is what comics are about. It's just like making you so excited and happy to have these things and experience these things. And it's something that TV and films just can't do.
So Dave.
Yeah?
My number 5.
What is it?
I am going to go with one of my favorite creators. I'm going to shout out Superman. I'm going to shout out Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns, if you're out there listening, I'm going to shout you out. JSA Compendium Volume 1. It's a worthwhile series to get into. This is a great team book. This is great, super fun comics. Golden Age characters that are sometimes forgotten, but when you dig into their little histories and their World War II era, Flash and Green Lantern and Wildcat, etc., and you combine it with some modern day characters as it's not even an offshoot of the Justice League. It was, I guess the Justice Society was Earth 2's version of
Justice Society was first.
Justice Society was first. So this is going like back to some real Golden Age DC lineage or legacy and telling fresh new stories. It's a very worthwhile series to get into. I don't know how many they're going to make. If they do it omnibus style, there would be 3. I think this is the same.
Yes.
Definitely a worthwhile investment if you like a good team book. This digs into a little bit more of the esoteric villainy of the DC universe. You're dealing with like altered dimensional villains and a little bit more magic because you got the Shazam family connected with the JSA and Dr. Fate and things like that. So there's a little bit more of that element built into the team, whereas like with Justice League Dark, that's Justice League Dark deals with the magic and the occult and those things, but JSA mixes it all up within their villain, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, their villain.
Rogues Gallery? Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
My final choice for the night is The Batman First Night, a hardcover. It's a 3-issue series. It's written by Dan Jurgens. The art's by Mike Perkins. Mike himself gave me a copy of issue 1 at event I was at, and he's lovely. I just think he's great. I've met him a couple of times now. I want to get him on. At some point I will get him on because he's really cool. I just think he's really cool. He's got a new series coming out as well, which he's doing with Garth Ennis. And funnily enough, at that Comic-Con, he said, I was just at a pub with Garth Ennis last night. It's kind of like, what are you cooking up? Come on, just spill. Wouldn't spill anything. So, his art is fantastic. What's really cool about this book, because it's called The Batman with a hyphen, is it harks right back to the original style and look of Batman. So it's got this kind of heavier set, large ears. Dan Jurgens does some swears in it. Never seen that happen before. It's a really intense first issue. This isn't superheroics. This is a crime story. Don't mistake it for some like funny little superhero book. This is nasty stuff, but really, really good. Really good. It's 168 pages. It's in those nice, I believe, those nice dimensions that DC's Black Label stuff tends to come out, like Wonder Woman, Dead Earth.
Yes, like an album
Harleen
size.
Yeah, that kind of, sort of pseudo gallery edition type thing. It's another stunner of a series tonight, and it's impossible not to recommend because even though I don't know how it pans out, that first issue had me hooked. There is so much stuff we haven't even touched on, but I'm going to do it real fast. I'm not going to go into the heavy detail like I promise I won't, and then I do anyway. Okay, so also coming up this month, from Dark Horse, we've got Hellboy, the BPRD, 1955 to 1957, which is a lot of the prequel stuff before Hellboy proper begins with Seed of Destruction. Legend of Vox Machina, the Whitestone Chronicles. Minor Threats Volume 2 is coming out. DC are releasing Absolute Justice, which I think is a re-release, but it's the Alex Ross series. They're also releasing 2 DC Finest books that I'm going to mention. There are tons of DC Finest books coming out, but the 2 I'm going to mention are Batman Year 1 and 2 and Wonder Woman Origins and Omens. You've also got Robin, Son of Batman Deluxe Edition with Damian Wayne in a solo series. Scalped Omnibus, which was a very, very highly praised Vertigo series by Jason Aaron. Wildcats Compendium Volume 1. They're starting to collect Wildcats as a a bigger chunk. Image Comics, Desolation Jones, the Biohazard edition hardcover. Complete Darkness Volume 3 is the book I've been waiting for so long for. I've wanted to get that book because it's a Dale Keown art on that book. Junkyard Joe Deluxe Edition hardcover was one I thought you'd mention in your 5. And Radiant Black Year 1 Deluxe Edition. Marvel, we've got Avengers Epic Collection Seasons of the Witch, Death of Wolverine Omnibus, Doctor Doom by Cantwell and LaRocca. Rom, the Original Years Omnibus Volume 3 is the final book in that series. So if you were looking to collect the entire Rom series from the 80s, you're probably not going to get another chance after this. This has got Secret Wars 2 tie-in and some other appearances from other Marvel characters. So getting that into your 80s collection is going to be pretty essential. Thor Epic Collection, The Eternal Saga. And finally tonight, Oni Press. We've got the Damned Deluxe Edition Omnibus hardcover, and that's by the same creative team who did The Sixth Gun. So while I may not be the biggest Cullen Bunn fan in the world, it's him and Brian Hurt together on another series that I haven't read. Oh, gotta be hard-pressed not to pick that up. Also, Jonna and the Impossible Monsters, which is by Chris Samney. It's a great book for kids if you haven't managed to get your kids into comics. And I'm done.
Nice. Awesome. I like it. Another incoming. One more for the year.
I love those incomings, man.
One more. Yeah, they're fun. They're fun to plan for because you just go shopping with your friends.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody, thank you for joining us on the Twitch. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. We hope that there's some things that we picked or recommended that you're going to enjoy reading. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and a subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or on your podcast platforms. And, of course, visit us at the omniversecomics.guide for everything that we got going on. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. We love you. We love you. Dave, have a good night, my friend.
Erickson.
Everybody, we'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we will be back.
Okay, let's see us out.
Let's see us out, Dave.